Well, good evening. Good evening. Sorry, I've been outside a little bit today and been doing some yard work and stuff, and the pollen's bad. But good evening. I hope that you have had a good day. And as you notice, not at the table, not on my patio. I'm not at the front porch like I was last week. I'm out here at our fire pit area. Wish I had a fire going, but I don't. We're in a burn ban. But I just wanted to jump on here this evening and just share some things with you. I'd like to share what the Lord has laid upon my heart during the week, just some things that He's been impressing upon me, some things that He's been dealing with me on, and I don't want this to come across as being that I'm preaching at you. That's not my intent. I don't want to come across that way. I want it just to basically be like a fireside conversation, just a bunch of guys just sitting around and just talking about life in general. And so really laid back. I got my Coca-Cola here, and this is with pure cane sugar, no high fructose corn syrup. It reminds me of when I was young, be with mom and dad. We'd be coming back from Troy, and we stopped at the gas station, and 25 cents could get you a Coca-Cola. Man, how times have changed. But I do like to have these, a couple of them a week, especially the fact that it's got the pure cane sugar and it's not the high fructose corn syrup and all the things that is in the soft drinks today. But anyway, besides that, let me get on with it here tonight and just share with you kind of what's been on my mind, what's been on my mind today, what's been on my mind this week, some conversations that I've had with some really good friends as of late. And again, just to speak to us guys and talk about some of the things that we face. And one of the biggest ones we face is this: masculinity is being attacked. I mean, it really is. It's not that it's just now being attacked. It's been attacked for some time. Society does not want masculine men. They want weak men, because if society had masculine men, then our government would not be able to do a lot of the wicked and crooked things that it's doing, because there would be a group of men that would basically rise up, stand against them, and say, "Not on my watch." But we don't really have that much anymore, and I'm not. I don't want to. I'm not saying this to be offensive to anybody. Everybody had their own opinions about it. I know that it was, and I know that there was a sickness. I know that there was a virus, and I know that a lot of people lost their lives. But I also say this: a lot of the things, as far as the draconian measures that was done back during the virus, was not because they were trying to keep us safe. It was because they wanted to see, will we fall in line and do what we're told? Because some of the stuff, I mean, let's face it, it was ridiculous. Herd you through stores like cattle and things like that. I wasn't playing the game, and still ain't gonna play the game today. But anyway, I say that because masculinity is under attack, all right? And so tonight, I just want to share with you just a few things, talk to you a little bit here tonight, and I want to begin with this. And this is a question, and I'm not asking this question to our egos, okay? Men, hey, listen, let's be honest, we've got an ego. And so what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to check the ego at the door, and we're going to have to really look on the inside and answer this question in all honesty. And that is this: are you capable of violence? Because to be a man, we have to be capable of some level of violence. Now, I know that that's a no-no in the church, and one of the reasons is, we harp on the love your enemies and turn the other cheek and render not evil for evil, and just a lot of these things that has been taught that we really don't even understand the context. And I'll just give you an example. Turn the other cheek was never talking about a physical altercation. God was not saying that you couldn't defend yourself. Matter of fact, I'm going to say this, I'll go a little bit deeper in this here in a minute. God would have us to defend ourselves, right? What he was saying was, is turn the other cheek, and that whole context is basically talking about just a verbal attack, verbal abuse, and insult. And he's saying, hey, listen, if it's just words, you got to just walk away from it. There's no reason in getting into a physical altercation just because somebody said something to you that you didn't like. And so that's what it's talking about. And I could go into the others, and I'm not going to do it here tonight. What I'll say here tonight is King David, a man after God's own heart. He said this, and I'm not quoting the verse word for word. I'm just going to kind of put it in modern day English. He said this in Psalm 144, verse 1. He basically said, Lord, thank you. Thank you that you've given me a physical ability to train. And thank you that you have made my efforts successful. Thank you that you have taught me how to fight, and you have equipped me how to fight. All right? That was King David. Now, I know, people's going to fire back and say, yeah, okay, Pastor, that was the Old Testament. It's different now. The New Testament's different. Same God. All right? Same God. God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And when Jesus was getting ready to go to the cross, he looked at his disciples and he asked this question. He said, do you have a sword? And they said, no. He said, go buy one. All right? So why did he do that? Because after his ascension, the gospel was going to have to go forward. The only way that the gospel was going to be able to go forward is there would be times there was going to have to be a show of force. That's the only way that you can confront evil. And so, again, here tonight, men, are you capable of violence? We live in a society where they say violence is not the answer. No, actually, I'm gonna correct that. There is times that violence is the only answer. There's a saying, how do you stop a bad guy with a gun? A good guy with a gun. Because when the bad guy, and I'll give you another example. It just hits my mind presently. They was talking, and I seen this video here some time back. They was talking to a convicted trafficker. I think that's what it was. It was convicted trafficker. And anyway, they was asking him, they said, why did you choose the kids that you chose? Why did you kidnap this kid? Or why did you, kidnap this boy or kidnap this girl? Was there something about them that stood out? And he said, no. He said, I never really paid much attention to the child. He said, I didn't pay any attention to the mom. He said, I looked at the dad. He said, if the dad looked like he was in shape and looked like he could fight, he said, then I went to find another victim. All right. Men, God has given us a responsibility to provide and to protect our household. With that, we've got to be capable of a level of violence. I'm not saying that we go look for a fight. What I'm saying is this. If trouble comes to our door, can we deal with it? Can we take care of it? I remember when my son was a lot younger. He was just a little bitty boy, and we was just kind of putting a contingency plan in place. And, heaven forbid, something bad happened. You never want anything bad to happen, but you gotta be prepared. And so I told him, I said, listen, here's the plan. If anything bad ever happens, if there was a break-in, people come in on us, with the intentions of bodily harm. I said, I want you to get out of your bed, crawl underneath your bed, because we got security systems, things like that on the house, so there's going to be a lot of noise. I said, get under your bed. I said, regardless of what you hear, I said, you stay under your bed until I come get you. And he looked at me, just a little bitty boy. He looked at me with them big blue eyes, and he said, he said, Daddy, promise me you'll come get me. And I looked back at him and I said, son, I promise you, I'll come get you. Now, for us men that has a child, you know what I'm talking about. When your child looks at you and they go, promise me you'll come get me, that will enable you to unleash a literal hell on whoever or whatever is causing you a problem. That's what I'm talking about here tonight. We've got to be able to do that, all right? Because there's a good possibility trouble will come. You look in where this world's at. This world is in a chaotic state. Okay, evil is rampant. And one of the reasons why evil is rampant is because the church has been so quiet. And one of the reasons why evil is rampant is because there's no fear of consequences. There's no fear of confrontation. There's no fear that, the person that they're going to commit the evil against is actually a good person that's able to commit the same type of evil upon them. So that's where we got to get to. All right, that's where we got to get to. So, men, here tonight, let me just encourage you let me encourage you a little bit. You might be one that, and the old saying is, I'm too old to fight. All right, okay. If that's you, listen. Have weapons in your home and know how to use them. Don't just take and have a pistol in your nightstand drawer and go, you know what, when something bad happens, I'll be able to grab it and I'll be able to use it. No, you won't. All right. I'm not trying to be harsh, and I'm definitely, with that, I'm not speaking to the ego, I'm speaking to the man. Okay? No, you won't. When bad things happen, we get tunnel vision, we lose fine motor skills, and then the only thing you're going to be able to go off of is you're going to have to go off of your training. And that's why David said, Lord, thank you that you have blessed my training. You're going to have to go off your training. Well, if you ain't had no training, you're going to freeze. And if the person coming in that has bad intentions and is there to hurt your family, if they're trained, you're in trouble. Go to a range. Get somebody that is good with shooting. Ask them to help you. I work with a lot of people. I work with a lot of my friends. Ask them to help you. Learn proper stance, learn proper trigger management, learn proper sight alignment. Learn these things. Get good at these things. Get proficient with these things. And if you can't, just like, well, a range is expensive and ammo is expensive. And I get it. All right. Dry fire practice in your house. Work with dry fire practice. Work with drawing, from a holster. Work with, drawing that pistol out of the safe or out of the nightstand drawer, whatever the case might be. But work on them things. Work on it until it comes it's second nature. All right. It has to be ingrained. If you can, I would encourage you to get some, do some jiu-jitsu, MMA, boxing, whatever. Just get physically active and learn how to fight. Because we like to think, and I was there. We like to think as a man that we know how to fight. And then we make the decision to step on the mat and fight, grapple with, somebody that knows jiu-jitsu, a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. And we find out real fast, because I've been there, we find out real fast that, man, we don't know how to fight at all. I mean, they're ending up and turning us into a pretzel, and we don't know how in the world it happened. And so get some training. And not only that, surround yourself with a brotherhood of like-minded men. We need that, all right? We need that. And so here tonight, are you capable of violence? We need to be. We need to be capable of violence, because God put us as the protector in that home. And God put us as the protector of our family. And God put us as the protector of our society, our towns, our cities, our communities. We're the protector, okay? We're the first line of defense. I'm going to say this. If something bad happens, by the time the police show up, the threat's over, right? Either you're gone or the intruder's gone. But it's over. By the time the police gets there, it's over. They're just trying to figure out what happened and fill out a report, okay? And it's not that they didn't want to get there in time. They can't, okay? They can't. You're the first line of defense. And so basically it's time to man up, all right? It's time to stop again, and I say this a lot of times. don't be deceived by the passive, weak, wimpy Christianity that's being taught in our churches. No, God would have you to stand up and be a man. God would have you to know how to fight. God would have you to know how to shoot. And God would have you to know how to protect yourself if trouble comes knocking on your door. And so let's be the man that God would have us to be. Anyway, that's what's been on my mind. It's what's been on my mind this week. Myself, I'm trying to practice the same things. You know, whether it's weapons, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's kickboxing. Yeah, I'm 54 years of age and I still love it, all right? I do that because God would have me to be a protector. And I can't be a protector if I don't know how to do those things. And so, again, here tonight, are you capable of violence? You need to be capable of violence. That's being a man. And so I want to leave you with that here tonight. Lord bless you. Let's stand up. Let's be men. You know what? Let's take our country back. Have a good night.